Hey everybody, this is Mike Coffin here at Crucible, Krav Maga. This is part 3 of the online bully-proof workshop series. And in this segment, we're going to start talking about what you as parents can start doing today to work on this problem of bullying with your kids. And so, even if you don't suspect there is a problem with bullying, it's not a bad idea to have a conversation. And the reason is, as we discussed in segment 2, that something like 64 to maybe even as high as 80% of kids never mention bullying to their parents. Okay, so if it's happening and you haven't heard about it, don't assume that it's not happening. Okay, in fact, you should probably assume it is happening to some degree. The question is the degree. Is it teasing or is it bullying? And we talked about the fact that teasing is something that sort of happens here and there, and bullying is when we go beyond that. The definition of bullying is when someone is really targeting you, all right, and they're trying to suppress you and sort of take away your ability to respond, all right, whether that's physically or verbally or in the cyber world, okay, with cyber stalking. Now, the first step that we have for parents, obviously, is talk with your child, right? If you have talked with them, talk with them again. Try to find out what they would want to do. So in other words, you're going to bring them in as part of this discussion. Especially if you know bullying is happening, then have a discussion with them about what they would want to do. If it isn't happening, maybe ask them, hey, if this were to happen, what would you want us to do about it? You want them to feel involved in part of the solution. After all, a key part of bullying is exerting power over someone. So we want to bring the kids back into the process and make them feel like they have some power, all right? You want to empower them with the solution rather than telling them this is what's going to happen, all right? Also, make sure you're taking notes, all right? Write down names, dates, locations. If you have digital recordings, screenshots, video capture, anything like that, even if you maybe take your phone somewhere and record it, any kind of digital stuff is really good proof, okay? And at some point, proof becomes really important if you're not getting the kind of results that you think you should. Now, if you haven't talked to your kids, sit down with them and try to establish what's going on. Just talk to them, right? If you are talking with them and you haven't really had this conversation before, you may need some additional tools to work with them. And that's what we do in the workshop, right? That's why we're doing the workshop, so that you and your kids have tools to talk together. By talking to them, again, even if they're not saying that it's happening, you're making them aware that you know what's happening or what could be happening, and you know what they would want you to do, and that you're willing to help them, that you're going to make them part of the process. If you know something's happening, have they talked to any other adults at the school, right? If they have talked with another adult about it, who was it? When was that conversation? How often has it happened? Have they seen any changes in the problem since then? Ideally, the school will take care of things on their side and you won't have to step in. And the outcome might take longer than you would want, but you should at least be made aware that something's happening. And so if they have contacted somebody, you can reach out to them, let them know that your child had talked to you about it, and you were looking for an update. All right, ask them to keep you updated as things progress. If they haven't talked to any other adults at the school and you know bullying is happening for sure, then you need to make sure that the school is fully aware of what is happening. They want to know 90% of the time, right? If they are aware of it, then they should already have started to implement something, and they should start to make you aware of what's happening. If they haven't talked to an adult, you need to make sure that the school is fully aware of what's happening. They want to know 90% of the time. They are aware of the serious consequences that bullying can have, and they don't want any of it in their school. I can almost promise you that, all right? Try to determine if your child hasn't talked to somebody, if maybe they don't feel comfortable talking to somebody. Maybe they don't know who to talk to about it, or they don't want to sort of, cause any problems. right? And that's where you can come in. You can say that, hey, I'll be the bad person. I'll go talk to the teacher. I'll go talk to the principal, or I'll go talk to the counselor, okay? They may not want you to do that. Then have a conversation with them. And also, if you do decide to go forward and you do talk to your child, say, hey, look, I'm going to go talk to the counselor about this, make them aware that at some point they themselves will probably have to talk to someone. It can't just come from you all the time. So make sure they know that ahead of time. Now, if you have talked to the school, how do they seem to respond? Are they responding well? Are they keeping in contact with you? What strategies are they employing? They should be trained on how to handle these situations. Almost all schools at this point have some sort of protocol in place. And they will often try a variety of methods if one doesn't seem to be working, or they may have a preferred method. It may not work as fast as you want, and that can be okay, right? But you need to make sure that at least something is being done and that you're getting the feedback that you need to communicate with your child. Now, if the school is not responding well, okay, identify the most appropriate person in the school to talk with. And that might be the principal, the vice principal, or the counselor, or assistant principal, whatever they say. Find out who that person is. Ask for a meeting with them and be prepared to be persistent in requesting a face-to-face meeting. Okay? Don't let them blow it off through email. Although if you get email, definitely keep it for your purposes. It is a good idea to research what the school's anti-bullying policies are. They're very often online. If they're not, request it from someone in email format. Try to get a PDF of it before the meeting. That way you can review it and see maybe where there is some area of negotiation with them. When you meet with the school, try to get a commitment of a strategy to deal with the allegations before you take off. Okay? Now, if the bullying has been going on for some time and it isn't stopping and you've already made the school aware, you need to ask for a follow-up meeting, right? We need to be persistent with this. You will likely have to demand some action is taken. In other words, here are the steps that are supposed to be taken. I need to make sure that they're being done. Show me some proof and some evidence, and if that didn't work, what's step number 2? Okay? Check what the school's policy is for filing a complaint, maybe at the district level. Okay? Have all of your notes prepared, because now all that evidence that we gathered, we're going to start putting it forth. And you're going to have a list. Hey, this is when it started. This is when we contacted you. This is what you said would happen. It didn't happen. We've met this many times, and now we want to start taking it to the district level. Make sure you're documenting everything, because the next step is likely dealing with the authorities. Even if the bullying appears to stop and the school does appear to be acting correctly, you will need to keep a close eye on your child. In some cases, the bullies will find more subversive methods, such as going online, that are less obvious to you. And in that case, they can also hide behind other fake accounts. Okay, so you may not know it's the same person bullying, and you'll have to go through some additional training on cyberbullying. So keep aware of all that. In the next next video, we're going to start talking about how we train the child and what we do with them. So stay tuned for that.